Book bombshell: Kody Brown serious negligence of Christine's kids and left her $250,000 in debt. When Christine Brown finally broke free from Kody Brown, many fans believed she was finally stepping into the independent life she always deserved. But what has surfaced in recent months paints an even darker picture than most viewers could have ever imagined. Beyond the heartbreak, beyond the public separation, beyond the heated arguments on sister wives, Christine allegedly carried not only the emotional toll of Kody's neglect, but also the financial consequences, reportedly left burdened with up to $250,000 in responsibilities that Kody either ignored or outright refused to take accountability for. And even more shocking are the claims that Kody displayed serious negligence toward Christine's children, treating them like afterthoughts while favoring Robyn and her family. For fans who once believed the patriarch at least tried to balance his plural marriages, these revelations hit like a bombshell. Let's start with the children, because for Christine, they were always the center of her world. Christine has repeatedly said on and off camera that she raised her kids practically alone. Even though she was technically part of a large plural family, she didn't receive the support she expected from her husband. In fact, as seasons went on, it became clearer that Kody was prioritizing Robyn's children, showing up at their events, giving them extra attention, and even spending significantly more money on them compared to Christine's. The accusations of negligence became louder during the pandemic. Christine's children, like many of the other Brown kids, wanted to maintain some sense of normalcy. But Kody enforced strict rules that primarily benefited his time with Robyn's family, while putting distance between himself and Christine's. He rarely visited her home, barely checked in with their daughters, and ultimately left the bulk of parenting squarely on Christine's shoulders. For Christine, this was nothing new. Even before the pandemic, she had said in private and hinted on the show that she felt invisible, especially in the eyes of her husband. But when neglect starts to affect children, that's when the situation crosses into something more serious. Several of Christine's kids have openly stated that they felt abandoned by their father. Isabel, for example, was left devastated when Kody refused to travel for her major scoliosis surgery, something that fans still call one of the most heartbreaking betrayals in sister wives' history. Negligence, in this context, wasn't just about absence. It was about choices. Kody chose not to show up. He chose not to contribute emotionally or financially when Christine and the children needed him most. And while Christine's kids learned to lean on each other, the scars of that kind of parental neglect don't easily fade. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping element of this story is not just the emotional abandonment, it's the money. According to multiple reports and what Christine herself has hinted, she was left to shoulder an enormous $250,000 financial burden after her separation from Kody. For years, Christine contributed to the family's finances, giving everything she had to the communal pot, believing in the dream of Coyote Pass, the property that Kody insisted was going to unify the family. Yet, when Christine decided to leave, she discovered that much of her contribution had been drained or mismanaged. She didn't walk away with the share she felt she was owed. Instead, she faced debt and obligations that should have been shared fairly among the spouses, but somehow landed squarely in her lap. Fans have long suspected that Kody's financial priorities were skewed toward Robyn. From the moment Robyn entered the family, Kody purchased a lavish home for her, supported her kids from a previous marriage, and even took on financial responsibilities that benefited Robyn more than the other wives. Meanwhile, Christine often had to stretch her budget thin, covering her kids' expenses with little help from Kody. The alleged $250,000 debt that Christine was left with speaks volumes. It reflects years of neglect, mismanagement, and favoritism. For Christine, leaving wasn't just an emotional act of survival, it was a financial risk. She walked away knowing that Kody wasn't going to make things fair. He wasn't going to give her what she deserved. And still, she chose her peace over staying in a toxic marriage. Many fans point to Kody's obsession with Coyote Pass as the root of the financial mess. The property, which was supposed to be a shared dream, became a point of tension and division. Christine had invested in that dream too. But as time went on, it was clear that the land was more of a fantasy than a reality, and Christine realized she couldn't tie her future, or her children's future, to it any longer. Leaving with financial baggage was hard enough, but doing so while raising multiple children that Cody had essentially turned his back on makes Christine's strength even more admirable. She didn't just walk away from a marriage. She walked away from a husband who abandoned his responsibilities and left her to pick up the pieces. And fans have noticed. Social media is filled with outrage over the way Cody treated Christine and her kids. Many point out that Christine deserved far better after decades of loyalty, service, and sacrifice to the Brown family. She was the wife who held things together when everyone else was falling apart. She was the mother who raised her children without demanding recognition. She was the backbone of the family in many ways. And yet, when it came time for Cody to reciprocate, he failed her. The narrative gets even more infuriating when compared to how he treats Robyn. Robyn and her children have consistently been portrayed as Cody's priority. He defends them, invests in them, and sacrifices for them. The contrast is undeniable. Christine's kids felt abandoned while Robyn's were lifted up. And when Christine finally said enough is enough, she wasn't just walking away from a marriage, she was standing up for her children, saying they deserved better. Even after her separation, Christine has been open about how free she feels. She started over, created a new home for herself, and found love again with David Woolley. But the shadow of what Cody left behind, the financial burden, the emotional scars on her kids, remains part of her story. In interviews, Christine has said she doesn't regret leaving for a second. She's happier, her kids are happier, and her life is finally aligned with what she always wanted. But fans can't ignore the glaring truth: she never should have been put in that position in the first place. Cody's negligence, both emotional and financial, forced Christine into a corner where the only way out was to start completely over. For longtime viewers, this revelation reframes the entire story of Sister Wives. It wasn't just a marriage that failed, it was a man's failure to uphold his responsibilities as both a husband and a father. Neglecting children is one of the worst accusations a parent can face, and while Cody may try to defend himself, the evidence is already visible in the pain of his kids and the financial mess Christine was left to clean up. So where does this leave the future of Sister Wives? Many fans believe the show has become less about a family navigating plural marriage and more about the wreckage of Cody's choices. Christine's story, her neglect, her financial struggle, and her. Christine, however, is thriving despite it all. And maybe that's the biggest twist of all. While Cody clings to Robyn and the remnants of his failed dream, Christine has already moved on, building a better life with her kids and her new partner. The $250,000 burden she was left with will never erase the pain of the past, but it makes her resilience shine even brighter. For viewers who have followed this family for over a decade, the message is clear: Christine deserved better, her kids deserved better, and Cody's negligence will forever be a stain on his legacy. Sister Wives, Robyn Brown's hidden agenda exposed, how she became the sole priority in Cody's world. When TLC introduced Robyn Brown into the Sister Wives family back in 2010, she was portrayed as a fresh addition, someone who would complete the vision of a plural marriage that seemed to be functioning, at least on the surface. But over the years, what was supposed to be a balanced family dynamic slowly transformed into a one-wife show. Robyn's presence, decisions, and influence started overshadowing the other wives until, eventually, she was the only one left standing beside Cody. Now, with Christine, Janelle, and Mary gone, fans are looking back at the past decade and asking the hard question: was this Robyn's plan all along? Did she join the family simply to end up as Cody's legal and spiritual one true wife? The pattern of favoritism was noticeable early on. While the other wives lived modestly and shared resources, Cody bought Robyn a large, expensive home. While Christine and Janelle were left to raise their children with little support, Robyn's kids from a previous marriage were given Cody's full attention, and even financial security. This wasn't just about love. It was about money, power, and a long-term vision that, intentionally or not, benefited Robyn more than anyone else. Christine herself admitted she felt pushed aside when Robyn joined. She often hinted that Cody's attention shifted almost overnight. Suddenly, Christine's contributions no longer mattered. Janelle, too, noticed the imbalance, pointing out that Cody's decisions were almost always aligned with Robyn's wishes. The pandemic put the favoritism under a microscope. Cody used COVID restrictions as an excuse to isolate himself at Robyn's house while limiting visits to his other wives and children. He framed it as safety, but fans quickly realized it was just a convenient way for him to stay exclusively with Robyn. For months, Christine and Janelle barely saw him. Their kids noticed. The family unity they had once fought to protect was gone. And then came the breaking point. Christine left first, publicly declaring that she couldn't stay in a marriage where she wasn't valued. Janelle followed, unable to tolerate being sidelined. Finally, Mary, who had endured years of neglect, confirmed her split as well. 3 wives gone, and the only one remaining? Robyn. It's not hard for fans to connect the dots. Whether by design or by default, Robyn has become the last wife standing, exactly as critics predicted over a decade ago. But the story goes even deeper when you follow the money. Cody and Robyn's house is not only bigger and more expensive, but it's been suggested that family resources were funneled disproportionately to support their lifestyle. Meanwhile, Christine was left with debt, Janelle had to fight for her independence, and Mary struggled to maintain her in business alone. Robyn's influence is undeniable. Cody has admitted multiple times that she is the only wife who is fully loyal to him. He praises her constantly while criticizing or dismissing his other wives. The contrast is painful for viewers, who have watched women like Christine sacrifice for decades only to be discarded. So what's Robyn's true role here? Some fans argue she was simply in the right place at the right time, giving Cody the obedience and loyalty he craved, which naturally pushed her into the spotlight. Others believe she played the long game, securing legal marriage status, aligning finances in her favor, and slowly allowing the other wives to fall away until she and her children were the sole focus. Regardless of intent, the result is the same. Robyn is now the only wife left, the one who controls the future narrative of sister wives. But will fans accept that? Many are already calling for TLC to cancel the show, arguing that the original premise of a plural marriage has collapsed. What's left to film when the experiment has failed? Is it now just Cody and Robyn's marriage instead of sister wives? Christine has moved on, finding happiness with David Woolley. Janelle is building her independence, focusing on her health and her own projects. Even Mary is carving out a solo identity, investing in her bed and breakfast while making peace with her new life. Meanwhile, Robyn is stuck with Cody, facing the backlash of being labeled the homewrecker and favorite wife who ended the plural dream. Fans speculate that Robyn may eventually regret being the last one standing. After all, she now bears the full weight of Cody's frustrations, his financial issues, and his dwindling reputation. Without other wives to distract him, she may realize that being the favorite comes with its own heavy price. For now, though, the story remains the same. Robyn Brown has what she always wanted, Cody's undivided attention. But whether that's a blessing or a curse is something only time will reveal. For years, the Brown family's future was sold to viewers as a dream. A wide stretch of land in Flagstaff, Arizona, known as Coyote Pass, was supposed to be where the sister wives would finally unite under one vision. Each wife would build her own home, the children would grow up side by side, and Cody would finally prove that his dream of plural marriage could thrive in the modern world. But according to Janelle Brown, that dream was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. She has now opened up about Cody's broken promises, financial mismanagement, and outright lies regarding the land. And fans are realizing that the vision of Coyote Pass was never really about family unity, it was about control. From the beginning, Janelle was the most vocal supporter of the Coyote Pass project. While Christine, Mary, and even Robyn had reservations, Janelle saw the land as an investment, a chance to build something real and lasting for her kids. She even went so far as to live in an RV on the property, enduring harsh conditions while waiting for Cody to follow through on his promises. But those promises never materialized. Years later, not a single home has been built on Coyote Pass. And now, with 3 wives gone, the entire project is in shambles. Janelle has admitted that the land deal was not as straightforward as Cody made it out to be. Financial obligations were piled up, resources were unevenly distributed, and paperwork remained tangled. Cody painted a picture of family ownership, but in reality, control of the land was heavily skewed toward him and Robyn. Fans were shocked when Janelle revealed she had put a significant amount of her own money into the project, only to walk away empty-handed after her split from Cody. Decades of sacrifice, and she's left with nothing tangible to show for it. Christine, too, realized the property wasn't worth staying for. She refused to tie her future to land that Cody couldn't or wouldn't develop. So what exactly went wrong with Coyote Pass? Janelle claims Cody lied to keep the wives invested. He spoke of building homes but never hired contractors. He talked about timelines but never broke ground. He promised fairness but ensured Robyn's security first, buying her an expensive home while leaving the others in limbo. The truth is, Coyote Pass was never about building a plural utopia. It was about keeping the wives tethered to him with a dream that he had no real plan to achieve. The land became a bargaining chip, something Cody could dangle in front of the women to keep them invested in a failing marriage. When Janelle finally confronted him, it wasn't just about the property. It was about decades of empty words. She accused him of manipulating the family with false promises, of creating a vision that served his ego rather than their reality. And when she realized nothing was going to change, she, too, walked away. For fans, Janelle's revelation is a turning point. It confirms what many suspected all along: Cody never intended to make Coyote Pass a family paradise. It was a mirage, designed to keep everyone in place while he devoted himself more and more to Robyn. Financially, the situation is just as grim. Reports suggest that the land still has unresolved debts, making it difficult for anyone to move forward with construction. Without Christine, Janelle, and Mary in the picture, it's unlikely the project will ever be completed. TLC filmed countless hours about Coyote Pass, but the storyline has now collapsed into nothing but broken ground and broken trust. And yet, Cody continues to defend himself. He insists the dream is alive, that one day he and Robyn will build there. But fans are skeptical. With so many wives gone and his reputation in tatters, Coyote Pass looks less like a dream and more like a monument to failure. Meanwhile, Janelle has embraced her independence. No longer tied to false promises, she's focusing on herself, her children, and her health. She's candid about the fact that she lost money, time, and years of energy believing in something that was never real. But she doesn't regret walking away. In her words, freedom is worth more than land that was never ours to begin with. The heartbreak for fans is in knowing that Coyote Pass could have been something extraordinary. It could have been the moment where the Browns proved the critics wrong, showing that plural marriage could thrive if everyone worked together. Instead, it became the ultimate symbol of deception, favoritism, and the breakdown of trust. Janelle's truth bomb is just the latest in a series of exposures that reveal how deeply flawed Cody's leadership really was. Christine exposed the neglect. Mary revealed the emotional abandonment. Now Janelle has revealed the financial lies. And together, they form a devastating picture of a man who never truly valued the women who built his family. For viewers who invested years in this story, the message couldn't be clearer: Coyote Pass was never about unity. It was about control. And in the end, it cost the Browns everything.